Rain drizzled gently over the quiet street as the evening lights flickered on one by one. Outside, a run-down convenience store stood a little boy, no more than 8, holding a small, rusted bicycle with both hands. His clothes were worn, his shoes soaked, and his eyes full of a kind of fear no child should ever know. A group of bikers slowed their motorcycles as they passed. Their engines rumbled like thunder, causing most people to step back. But the boy didn't move. He just stood there, shivering, gripping the handlebar as if it was the last thing he owned in this world. Blade, the VP of the biker club, glanced over. Something about the kid's tiny frame trembling in the cold rain made him pull over. The other bikers followed, forming a protective semicircle around the child. Blade stepped down, towering over him. "Hey, kid," he said gently, lowering his voice so it wouldn't scare him. "Why are you standing out here alone?" The boy swallowed hard, then held out the bike toward him. "Please, sir, buy my bike." Blade frowned. "Why do you want to sell it?" The boy hesitated, lips quivering. "My mommy, she hasn't eaten in 2 days." A heavy silence fell. The boy looked down at the bike, his voice cracking. "She said she's not hungry, but I hurt her stomach. She's lying. She always lies so I can eat." He rubbed his eyes with his sleeve. "So I thought, if I sell my bike, maybe she can eat today." Behind Blade, several bikers exchanged glances. Hard, rough men who'd seen more darkness than most, now blinking back emotion. Blade knelt so he was level with the child. "What's your name, buddy?" "Eli." "And where's your mom now?" "At home, but we don't really have a home anymore." Blade felt a sharp twist in his chest. "What do you mean?" The boy looked up, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and shame. "A man came. Mommy said he took everything. He said she owed him money. He said he would take more if she didn't pay." Blade's jaw tightened instantly, rage simmering beneath the surface. "Who's this man, Eli?" The boy whispered just one name, and every biker in the circle stiffened. Because they all knew him, and they knew exactly what kind of monster he was. Blade's knuckles went white the moment Eli whispered the man's name. It wasn't just any thug. It was Derek Cole, a known loan shark who preyed on single mothers, elderly people, and anyone too vulnerable to fight back. Even the police avoided crossing him. But Blade and his men weren't the police. He stood up slowly, towering over the little boy, but his voice stayed soft. "Eli, take us to your mom." Eli hesitated. "She told me not to bring anyone. She said he'd be mad." Blade leaned forward, his tone firm but warm. "Son, if a man is hurting your mother, he's already made us mad. We're not here to scare her. We're here to help." The bikers nodded, their expressions hardening with purpose. Eli looked at each of them. Rough men covered in leather and tattoos, but standing still, waiting, almost protective. He finally whispered, "Okay." The walk was short, but every step tightened Blade's chest. Eli led them to an old apartment building with cracked walls and broken lights. The hallway smelled of dampness and old paint. Eli stopped at a door that looked like it could fall off its hinges any moment. "She's inside," he said softly. Blade motioned for the men to stay back slightly so they wouldn't overwhelm her. He knocked gently. No answer. He knocked again. "It's all right, ma'am. Your boy's safe. He's right here." At last the door cracked open. A woman stood in the gap, pale, exhausted, wearing a sweater 2 sizes too big. Her eyes widened in fear when she saw the bikers behind Eli. "Eli," she cried, pulling him close. "Why did you—" Blade raised his hands in a calming gesture. "Ma'am, he didn't do anything wrong. He was trying to help you." Her lips trembled. "I told him not to bother anyone. I can handle it." "No, you can't," Blade said softly. "Because you're not supposed to handle this alone." Tears filled her eyes. "If Derek finds out anyone was here—" "Let him find out," one of the bikers growled. Blade shot his man a warning look, then turned back to her. "Ma'am, we know who Derek is and we know what he does. Tell us everything." She hesitated. Then, almost collapsing into the doorframe, she whispered, "He took our savings, our furniture, even Eli's school supplies. He said he'd come back for more." Eli clutched her hand. "Mommy, please, let them help." She looked at her son, then at the men standing behind him, and finally, she nodded. Blade exhaled slowly. "Good, because we're ending this tonight." The bikers straightened, ready, and the war for Eli's mother had officially begun. Blade made a quick call, and within minutes engines rumbled through the street like thunder. More bikers arrived, 15, then 20, lining up outside the broken apartment building. Neighbors peeked through curtains, confused and terrified at the same time. Inside, Eli's mom sat on the edge of the torn couch, trembling. "Are you sure this is safe?" she whispered. Blade crouched in front of her. "Ma'am, with us here, Derek won't touch you, I promise." Eli curled into his mother's side, clutching her sweater as if afraid she'd vanish. One of the bikers came up behind Blade. "Boss, he's close. Our guy spotted Derek 2 blocks away." Blade's expression hardened. "Bring him." The biker nodded and disappeared outside. Eli's mom panicked. "No, please, he'll hurt you. He has weapons, he has people." Blade gave a low, humorless laugh. "So do we." She looked at the men surrounding her, huge, leather-clad giants watching the apartment like silent guards. Every one of them was ready to defend her without hesitation. Still, fear clung to her. "What if he takes Eli?" she whispered. Blade placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "No one is taking your son, not while we're breathing." Outside, footsteps dragged along the pavement. One of Blade's men returned, holding Derek by the collar. The loan shark struggled, spitting curses. "Let me go. I know who you people are. He stopped when he saw the lineup of bikers. 20 hardened men stared him down like wolves circling a deer. Blade walked out of the apartment slowly, calm but deadly. Derek Cole. Derek flinched but forced a crooked smile. "Blade? Hey, I didn't know she was one of yours." "She's not," Blade replied. "She's a mother, that's enough." The men behind Blade growled in agreement. Derek's face twitched. "Look, man, business is business." Blade stepped close. So close Derek had to tilt his head back to look at him. "You stole from a starving family. You threatened a child. That's not business, that's cowardice." Derek swallowed hard. What do you want?" Blade leaned in. "You're going to return every single thing you took, and then you're going to disappear from this city. Forever." Derek shook his head. "I can't." Blade didn't let him finish. He grabbed Derek's shirt and slammed him against the wall. "You can, you will, or you won't walk away from this street." Derek stared at the ring of bikers closing in slowly, and he nodded. 10 minutes later, the bikers carried back furniture, bags of clothes, Eli's school items, even groceries. Everything Derek had taken was returned, and then some. Eli's mom sobbed quietly as the bikers restored her home. Blade knelt beside Eli. "You did good today, kid." Eli smiled shyly. Can I join your club when I'm big?" Blade ruffled his hair. "We'll keep a spot ready." And as Derek was driven out of town, escorted by 2 bikes, the mother and son finally felt safe for the first time in years. The bikers didn't just protect them, they restored their life.